On November 5th, the Virtual Telescope Project released 2 new images of the interstellar object 3I Atlas, and what they revealed has left the scientific community even more confused. The images show Atlas as a compact source of light without any obvious coma or tail. Even more surprising, the object's appearance has barely changed since the Hubble Space Telescope's observations in July 2025. For an object that should have lost at least 13% of its total mass, more than 5 billion tons of matter according to calculations by Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, the absence of such a large and obvious cloud is inexplicable. Similar images have also captured Comet Lemon, a common comet in the solar system. Lemon shows exactly what we'd expect, a bright, transparent tail pointing away from the sun, formed by solar radiation pressure, pushing gas and dust into space. Atlas, on the other hand, remains mysteriously clean, with none of the visual signs that accompany the massive loss of material needed to account for its anti-gravity acceleration. According to Loeb, this is just the latest evidence that Atlas is unlike any other natural object we know of. On October 29th, as it approached its closest point to the Sun, the celestial body Atlas suddenly accelerated in a strange way beyond all normal gravitational laws. A report from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, said that Atlas's actual position had deviated from its predicted orbit by 4 arcseconds. At a distance of 203 million kilometers from the Sun, this represents a huge error that surprised scientists. Atlas is accelerating at a rate of 0.2 millimeters per second squared, which is equivalent to being pushed out of its orbit by more than 80 kilometers in just 1 month. The data show that this acceleration is in 2 directions: an outward push away from the Sun at a rate of 135 kilometers per day squared, about 60 kilometers per month, and a sideways push at 60 kilometers per day squared, 27 kilometers per month. In other words, Atlas is drifting in 2 directions at once, being pushed outward and sideways. NASA insisted Atlas was not hurtling toward Earth. This lopsided orbit poses no threat to any planet, except that it could approach Jupiter in March 2026, a date that astronomers are keeping a close eye on. But what's actually accelerating Atlas? Imagine you throw a ball and gravity pulls it along a perfectly predictable curve. But if some invisible force fires tiny motors at it, that trajectory changes. That's exactly what's happening. Atlas is no longer obeying the rules of pure gravity. Something else is acting on it. With comets, the most likely explanation is outgassing. When ice on the surface melts due to proximity to the Sun, it turns into steam and is expelled like a jet engine. But what has puzzled researchers is that the amount of gas required to create this acceleration is absurdly large, far beyond what a normal comet would release. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb has done some basic physics calculations which show that if you know the acceleration and mass of the object, you can deduce how much gas would need to be expelled to create thrust. Atlas weighs at least 33 billion tons, making it much larger than the first 2 interstellar objects ever discovered. It's between 1,000 and 1,000,000 times heavier than either Muamua or Borisov. Its core is estimated to be about 3 kilometers across, or nearly 6 kilometers. Given that mass and acceleration, the calculations come to a remarkable conclusion. To generate thrust by natural outgassing, Atlas would have to lose at least 1/6 of its mass during the month around perihelion, or at least 5.5 billion tons of gas. This gas would form a huge, extremely bright cloud around the object, almost impossible to miss with our lenses. From late November 2025 to late January, dozens of ground-based telescopes, along with the Hubble Space Telescope and the James Webb Space Telescope, will be watching Atlas, On December 19th, it will make its closest approach to Earth at a distance of 167 million miles. If the giant gas cloud really exists, we will see it. If not, the scientific debate will rage. Without the observation of a cloud that corresponds to the gas required for acceleration, the natural explanation will fail. The possibility of acceleration from another source, perhaps even technological, will have to be seriously considered. There are precedents for this scenario. Muamua, the first interstellar object, also exhibited anti-gravity acceleration, but no outgassing. Even the extremely sensitive Spitzer space telescope detected no signs of outgassing. In the end, researchers had to call it a dark comet, a paradox since the hallmark of a comet is its outgassing. Atlas exhibits even more bizarre behaviors that are difficult to reconcile with natural models. The first was brightness. As it approached the Sun, Atlas brightened at a power of -7, whereas comets typically brighten in the range of -2 to -3. This means Atlas increased in brightness twice as fast as expected, an unprecedented phenomenon. The second was color. Atlas was blue, bluer than the Sun at its closest approach. This is extremely strange, because natural dust usually reddens the spectrum rather than blues it. The surface of Atlas is expected to be about 20 times colder than the surface of the Sun, and cold surfaces glow red, not blue. Some natural explanations are still possible, such as direct emission of ionized gases like carbon dioxide. It is important to emphasize that the argument is not about Atlas being definitively technologically extraterrestrial. This is a test of scientific methodology. When data doesn't fit theory, you can't ignore the data. You have to explore all possible solutions, even the most unpalatable ones. Some scientists argue that the data must be wrong because they can't explain it. Dr. Avi Loeb responds that that's bad science. You can't dismiss data just because there's no theory that fits it. Atlas is now considered one of the strangest and most inexplicable celestial bodies ever observed in the solar system, not only because of its unusual events, but also because of the profound implications they bring, challenging the entire foundation of current understanding of physics. The first anomaly is the impossible path. Atlas travels on an orbit that is tilted just 5 degrees to the ecliptic plane, the plane in which all planets orbit the Sun. In 3 dimensions, an object from another star system could come from any direction, but Atlas appears almost perfectly parallel to the plane of the planet's orbit. The chance of this happening by chance is just 0.8%, the equivalent of hitting a small target in the dark. Astronomers believe that an object from interstellar space would make a random approach, almost impossible to be parallel with the plane in which the planets orbit the Sun. Some new theories, presented as hypotheses not yet confirmed, suggest that this incredibly precise orbit could be the result of purposeful navigation, or at least be influenced by oriented artificial resources, not simply random orbits due to gravity. The second anomaly is the physics-defying jet. In July and August 2025, Atlas unexpectedly produced a jet of material that shot straight toward the Sun, the exact opposite of all known comets, which always have tails pointing away from the Sun due to solar radiation pressure. This behavior is contrary to basic physics, like someone running with their hair flying forward. The third anomaly is its size and speed. Atlas is 1,000,000 times more massive than Muamua and 1,000 times more massive than Borisov. Yet it is still moving faster. In astrophysics, larger objects tend to move more slowly when held by the gravity of their parent star system. But Atlas breaks this rule completely. Under normal physical conditions, all comets create tails that point away from the Sun as radiation pressure and solar wind push material away. Atlas's backward jet is unprecedented. Some plasma physicists hypothesize, though not confirmed, that this phenomenon could indicate the existence of an artificial magnetic field or plasma-driven propulsion mechanism similar to ion propulsion technology that humans have only tested on a small scale. The fourth anomaly involves perfect timing. Atlas coincidentally passed by Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, but avoided Earth during perihelion, the moment when it should be at its brightest and easiest to see. This timing is rarer than winning the lottery, leading many researchers to suspect that it is more than a mere coincidence. This coincidence made many experts suspect that Atlas did not move randomly, but seemed to have a pre-calculated route, like a probe that chooses a flight path to collect data about large planets while avoiding direct contact with Earth. Some astronomers have hypothesized, though not confirmed, that Atlas may record a map of the gravitational or electromagnetic fields of the solar system for the purpose of technological exploration. The fifth anomaly reveals something suspicious about the chemical composition. Spectroscopic analysis showed that Atlas contained more nickel than iron, a ratio common in man-made alloys. Natural comets typically have a random mix of metals and minerals, but Atlas has a finely tuned metallic structure that appears purposefully manufactured. This ratio is common in high-temperature alloys such as Inconel or pneumonic, used in jet engines and spacecraft. This similarity raises suspicions, presented as hypotheses not yet confirmed, that the material that makes up Atlas may have once been processed or refined rather than forming randomly in space. Another hypothesis suggests that it could be remnants of a destroyed technological structure, like the outer shell of an ancient spacecraft. The sixth anomaly is the absurdly dry property. Comets are often described as dirty snowballs, with 80 to 90% of their mass being water ice. Atlas has only 4% water, drier than the harshest deserts on Earth. This has led many experts to question whether it is actually a natural comet. Infrared spectral analysis has found no signs of water vapor despite Atlas's close approach to the Sun. Some scientists have suggested, as a hypothesis not yet confirmed, that its surface may be covered in a refractory ceramic or composite layer, preventing evaporation. If confirmed, this could prove that Atlas possesses an artificial shell, a feature never before seen in any natural comet. The seventh anomaly involves polarized light. Atlas emits a polarization pattern never before recorded in any natural object. Polarization is the fingerprint of light, and Atlas's pattern does not match any other comet ever observed, including Borisov, a sign that its surface or structure is completely different. In-depth analysis shows that the polarization pattern is similar to light reflected from a metal surface or flat structure with a defined angle of reflection, unlike the rough surfaces of natural celestial bodies. Some experts hypothesize, though not confirmed, that Atlas may possess reflective panels, solar panels, or symmetrical geometric structures similar to artificial materials. The eighth anomaly connects Atlas to one of the greatest mysteries in human history, the WOW signal discovered in 1977. Both came from the same direction in space, almost the same cosmic coordinates, making the hypothesis of a connection between them attractive. The probability of this coincidence is extremely low, but too precise to ignore. Both events occurred near the constellation Sagittarius, and Atlas's arrival path matches exactly the region of space where the WOW signal was recorded. Some SETI researchers believe, as a hypothesis not yet confirmed, that Atlas could relate to the origin of that signal, or even be an intermediate object that transmits signals operating in cycles of decades, like a cosmic relay station. The ninth anomaly is perhaps the strangest. Atlas appears to be hotter than the Sun. Its brilliant blue hue suggests it is emitting energy at temperatures exceeding 5,800 Kelvin, the temperature of the surface of the Sun. It is simply impossible for a non-stellar object to reach such energy levels, barring some form of advanced technology unknown to humanity. If all of the above anomalies are confirmed, 3I Atlas will no longer be a comet, but first experimental evidence of interstellar technology. Some hypothesize, though not confirmed, this could be an autonomous probe launched by an ancient civilization millions of years ago, or physical monitoring equipment gathering data about the solar system. All theories are on the table, and December 19th may be the day humanity finds out for sure whether Atlas is a comet or the first message from another intelligence in the universe. The physics is clear. A huge acceleration requires a corresponding loss of mass. If Atlas really accelerated at the rate we observe, that huge mass would have to be released in the form of a giant gas cloud. Without such a cloud, there's only one explanation that fits the data, that Atlas is not a natural comet. As Atlas approaches on December 19th, when it will make its closest approach to Earth, hundreds of telescopes around the world, from ground-based to orbital, will be trained on it. Scientists will be looking for evidence of the 5.5 billion tons of gas that would have been lost if outgassing had caused the acceleration. But if there's no sign of that gas, the whole common comet theory will fall apart. What we're seeing could then be direct evidence of a technology that does not belong to Earth, a propulsion system that operates outside all known laws of physics, something that might be moving with purpose. In the coming weeks, we will know whether humanity is truly alone in the universe or is currently witnessing the first confirmed visitor from the stars. If Atlas is not a comet, but a work of another intelligence, then the moment of December 19th could become the greatest turning point in the history of space exploration, when humans not only looked up at the sky for the first time, but also realized that they were being looked back at. The scariest thing is not what we see, but what we don't. Atlas has not shown us everything. Some scientists speculate, as a hypothesis not yet confirmed, that Atlas may be concealing a sophisticated observation or communication mechanism, operating only in frequency bands that humans cannot detect. It is also hypothesized that it does not move randomly, but scans the entire solar system on a set schedule, possibly to search for life or test human technological progress. In underground science forums, a shocking theory called the mirror galaxy effect is spreading. According to this unconfirmed hypothesis, every time a civilization reaches the nuclear power threshold, an observation device will be activated from interstellar space to assess the threat level of that civilization to the universe. Atlas, according to some, may be that device, a silent gatekeeper watching us. More daring predictions, presented as speculation not confirmed, suggest that by December 19th, when Atlas is at its closest point to Earth, a synchronization signal could be emitted, not for us, but for somewhere else. Was it confirmation that Earth had been discovered? Or was it just another step in an ancient civilization's millennial-long exploration plan? For now, no one knows for sure. Atlas remains silent, hurtling through the void at an inexplicable rate of acceleration. But if the theory of interstellar technology is correct, then we look up at the sky each night, not just to observe a distant celestial body, but are being watched by another gaze from the depths of the universe. And maybe this time we are the subjects of research.